The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. And I'm talking to Scott this morning. We introduced Scott just before the 10 o'clock news, very, very briefly. Scott's been at Dooralong, how long did you say, Scott?
About 2.5 months.
Yeah. Okay, so let's find out a little bit about Scott. You say you were telling us that you were born in Mudgee, but you lived in Port Macquarie for most of your life.
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Done all my schooling and all that sort of thing in Port, yep.
Yeah. But at some point in your life, alcohol made an appearance.
Yeah, the demon come knocking, yeah.
The demon drink, yeah. What age were you when you would...
probably around 30.
Yeah.
Just before late 20s.
Yeah.
Early 30s, yeah.
So that's fairly late. So you didn't become sort of addicted at an early age or anything like that?
No, I used to party a little bit, like after work, Friday, Saturday, like young people do. But drink become the thing I used to fall back on a lot, when I was about 30 years old,
Yeah. That's unusual. Most of the guys that we've spoken to have had a problem. They found that alcohol became a problem for them when they were sort of in their teens, but it happened for you later. I guess it's one of those things that can become an issue at any time.
I think the amount I drank probably would have caught up with them anyway. So,
is that right?
I used to try and bury everything with the alcohol,
So you were one of these people drinking to blot stuff out?
Yeah, block myself out actually. I'm a thinker. I've considered myself a bit of a thinker, and I delve too much into things, and the alcohol would suppress all those sort of thoughts. And when you come to, I'd just look for another drink just to keep the thoughts at bay.
What do you mean by saying that you were drinking to blot yourself out? What does that mean?
Oh, just jumping the gun on certain things, and I could think of certain things and they probably weren't happening, thinking way too much about a certain subject, and just the drink would sort of suppress those sort of thoughts. And I'd have a drink before I got up, next to me bed every morning, just to sort of knock out the hurt of the day, if you know. So you're one of these busy thinkers. Your mind is running at 100 miles an hour and you're overanalyzing everything. That's it, yeah. That's a good way of putting it, yep.
Yeah, worrying about everything.
Yep.
Thinking the world's got it all down on you.
Yeah, actually, yeah. But I realised that everyone's got problems, but I just thought mine were a little bit more than the average person.
You said just there that first thing in the morning you had a drink by your bedside. That seems to be the sort of stereotypical view that we see on films, isn't it? But for you, it was real. It
was real, yeah. It'd be a heavy drink, it'd be spirits and stuff like that, and it'd even get to cheap wine and stuff like that, and you don't realise. I didn't realise until now how much it was actually destroying your body and stuff like that, and just to have it there it seemed like the alcohol was a friend, but a really bad friend, if I could call it that.
So you woke up with a hangover, and the first thing you do is take a drink?
No, the thing of being an alcoholic is you don't actually sort of suffer hangovers, because the abuse is always inside. I'd drink enough when I fell asleep. There'd be enough in my system to wake up, and you'd be still
under the influence.
Yep.
And then you just top up.
Yep.
First thing in the morning.
Yep. I'd have days where I was in trouble with the law a lot, and every charge or any arrest that I'd have put upon me from the police always had alcohol involved. And there was one time I went to parole, and they just said out of curiosity they wanted to put me on the bag, and I blew .398, and to me I felt sober, but to a normal person they'd have fell over drunk.
Just shows you the extent to which your body was being ruined, I suppose, and how much alcohol was there.
Yeah, the tolerance level,
Tolerance level, yeah.
Yeah, just a person that drinks, maybe every Friday afternoon, that they could get intoxicated on half of what it'd take me,
But you were still able to have a coherent conversation.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Yep.
But what it was doing to your kidneys and your liver and all sorts of things.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. So you're drinking very heavily. Does it affect your job?
Not so much the output. I'd actually still worked quite well. But it was the fear of, like I'm in the building industry, and if I was to set up like a scaffold or anything like that, and if I had missed anything and injured anyone else, that was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Rather than injure myself, I didn't really care about that. It was the alcohol speaking. But it didn't, like I got to the point with the alcohol that being a painter, if I didn't have a drink, I'd be in the sweats and the shakes and stuff like that, and without certain people knowing, I'd take off at Smoko and I'd get a drink, and sort of calm the nerves down and took the shakes away, and I'd actually work at a competent level. But without it, I was in the horrors.
Did you ever reach out and seek help or counselling or sort of sign up for any sort of rehab?
Not while I was in active addiction, no, but I could see what it was doing to my family and the people that actually do care for me, and I took it on that, to get help for myself, and I like Dooralong, such an amazing place that it is. I didn't expect to be welcomed with open arms the way they do, and they're pretty forgiving, the old salvos, and like the old saying goes, thank God for the salvos.
Exactly. And you were telling me off that you have your sister to thank for being at the salvos.
Yeah, Clarissa. Yeah, she's my beautiful little sister. The care factor from mum and my sister and my nephew and my son and all that sort of thing, it's just unbelievable, and I do have my sister to thank. She was always there to pick me up when I fell, which was pretty often, and mum was always there, and just seeing what it was doing to them,
So how did your sister introduce you to the salvos, or how did she find out about this? Dooralong?
She works in the hospitality industry, and she had the salvos come from Dooralong to one of her meetings, and she was pretty keen to get in their face and tell them that her older brother was doing pretty bad on the alcohol and all that sort of thing, and they sort of steered her, gave her numbers and stuff like that and email addresses, and she was pretty iron-fisted in getting me on the path to Dooralong, so I've got to thank her and my mum for that sort of thing. But I did do it on my own bat.
And were you ready as well when they mentioned Dooralong and rehab? Were you resistant, or you thought? No?
At the beginning, I was kind of resistant, just a little bit standoffish on what was going to happen. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a rehab. I've never heard of any like feedback off anyone from a rehab. But I just thought I'd just take the bull by the horns and just jump straight in the deep end and see where I'd come up for a breath.
Because the alternative was just to carry on and sink further and further.
Oh yeah, no. Like if I'd kept going, I probably would have ended up in the grave or a very sick man. And I didn't want to do that to my mum. Just on the past. She'd lost a loved one, my brother. God rest his soul. And I just could see it was killing her inside to see me go down the road that maybe he was going down, and I was not going to let anything hurt me. You
couldn't do that.
No. My mum's my angel.
So you said, okay, I'll give it a go. You have to go to detox first, don't you?
Well, yeah, I done detox in the February at Kempsey Hospital.
That's this February?
Yeah,
gone?
But I didn't get my foot in the door at Dooralong till July, so I'd done the detox, but sort of tried to stay abstinent leading up to the July. I did relapse in a few times in between there, but I'd go 4 or 5 weeks, and then I'd have a drink, and which was pretty bad because I was doing it at my sister's house, and she knew, like I couldn't pull the wool over her eyes. She knew every time, and I'd done the detox, and I told Dooralong that I'd done that, and I was taking Valium, as they do, to calm you down and keep you from seizures and stuff. Like, I think I wasn't far off the seizure part of alcoholism. That was a pretty scary thing. I've seen mates that have actually been through the seizure side, and it's pretty detrimental on the brain system. And
so how long was it between the end of your detox and the beginning of Dooralong? How long was it that you were trying to be abstinent, waiting to get into Dooralong?
Oh, it was a couple of months.
Couple of months.
Yeah. Like, I'd done the detox, and that was at a hospital. but I wasn't in those sort of detox part of the hospital. It was just like parole had sort of sent me to like a mental plan, and I was seeing drug and alcohol at Port Macquarie, which were doing awesome for me. They steered me to detox and
keeping you safe.
Getting me on certain like vitamin B tablets and thiamine and all that sort of thing to protect the brain from, because they say the worst thing for an alcoholic is to give up instantly. In one big go. It's not, you shouldn't do that, because your brain's thriving for it.
It just shows you how sort of toxic it is. And
it is. It's they say it is one of the worst drugs to try and get off. I feel for everyone in NA and AA and GA. That's what they sort of concentrate on at Dooralong, and like we're all on an equal plane, if you know what I mean. So we try and lean off each other.
But then the day comes and they say, "Okay, this is Dooralong. We've got a bed for you." You were in Port Macquarie at the time, were you?
Yes, I was. Yep.
So what did you hop on the train and get down here?
My sister put her hand up to take me down to Oasis to get on the bus to go. My partner Tina, she came with us, said, "Mum," and it was a bit hard to let go because I didn't know what to expect. And just driving off and watching them in the rearview mirror was pretty hard. But
very emotional.
Yeah, it was actually, and but we all knew that it was for the better, to get the good me back rather than the bad me, the one that had the demons with the alcohol and.
And that was in March of this year?
July.
July.
The 12th it was. I'll never forget that day.
Yeah, that's the day your life changed.
It was actually, yep, big time.
Yeah. And just before we break for music, what did you think as you drove from Wyong down the Yarramalong Valley towards Dooralong?
Oh, well, I thought there couldn't be much better, like God's a pretty pleasing man, like he's blessed the Dooralong place. It's known as a resort. And like I had a different perception of what a rehab would be, but it's actually it's heaven sent, if you know what I mean. Like it's
literally
it's a lovely
God
place
sent.
to be.
Yeah,
we all keep it in line. They keep us on our toes.
Yes.
And it's great to see people when they do graduate. Like you can see the photos of when they came in and when they leave. It's just I can see why they call it a transformation centre.
It does exactly what it says on the can. It transforms lives, doesn't it?
Yep.
Talking to Scott this morning from the Dooralong Transformation Centre, we heard quite a bit about his past life. In his story that he's been telling us, we left him as a newcomer to Dooralong. He arrived 12th of July.
That's it, yep.
12th of July, a date which is etched on his soul forever. 12th of July, he arrived at Dooralong. And how are things going? It's probably not all been plain sailing, has it?
Oh, no, I'm going leaps and bounds, actually. I've got an award the other week for community life, which I think it states that you're fitting in pretty well, with the staff and with other people. And I'm trying to be one of those blokes that the newcomer can sort of fall on and sort of go by experience and see that it's not such a daunting path to take as a rehab. You do see a couple of young blokes come in there pretty shook up and all that sort of thing. And
one of the things I noticed when when a number of us from REMA came out to your chapel night worship the other week is you have quite a lot of young blokes, and it must be good that sort of older blokes like yourself are there to sort of put them wise as to, don't do this, it's going to mess your life up.
Well, I think, the young blokes do have to take on board that Dooralong would be a lot better place to be than jail.
Yeah.
And jail's not a really good path to take because, if you do a couple of, maybe a couple of years behind bars when you're younger, it seems to be the path that's paved for later on in life. I know that firsthand with my brother.
Yeah.
He was pretty I don't have to use the word institutionalised because he'd done a lot of jail and he found it hard to live on the outside. But these young blokes do have to sort of let go of the sort of weight that they're carrying around and just let the path be given to them, slowly, take it day by day. Don't think that it's just going to be like that all forever,
But it's only with the sort of with the hindsight and sort of benefit of experience and having lived that experience.
Well, I think they that Lyndall, one of the head honchos there, she tends to always say that it's transformed people, like inspiring transformation, and it's that's a really good sort of motto to stick by, because the young blokes come in there and they're a bit like I said, it's daunting, but to see other blokes that are actually going through the course, and when we have the meetings, like another mate of mine says to me, you gain trust, and it's hard for these young blokes, I think, the newcomer, to have a trustworthy sort of thing to open up and speak. But when you're actually in the groups and you're learning off other people, it is a hard road, but it's an easy one once you sort of get in the groove of what to do, and just for today, that's what I tend to go on. The book that we have every morning, we have a little read up on the book, and it's just for today.
For today. Have you surprised yourself with how well things are
Amazingly,
going?
Yep. I didn't think I'd sort of come this far in such a short period of time. I know I have a lot to offer, but in active addiction, I pushed a lot of people away because of me addiction, and I'd always lash out, and I was always in poor me. I don't take that excuse anymore, and I'll give fire to the good in me now, and just shine, if you know what I mean. I'm feeling it coming out in a big way.
So you can see past patterns and behaviours which have really been very unhelpful, and you're able to sort of change those patterns.
Yes. You get like the tools they give you, the steps, the 12 steps. You tend to start to use them when you get into that sort of that frame of mind. When I used to use, if I was to get in that frame of mind, I'd just go to the bottle. But now, if I get into that frame of mind, I pull the steps out and the Serenity Prayer and all that sort of thing. It's amazing how much that little prayer can help. The
Serenity Prayer, I've not heard of that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, to the God of our own understanding. God grant me serenity to accept the things that cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
And that's just in those 4 little lines. Look, it's if anything bad was sort of to happen to make you relapse or pick up again, you sort of say those little words behind, quietly to yourself, and they pick you up.
God, where are you with God? Because you weren't a churchgoer, were you, before you went to Dooralong?
No, I wasn't.
What was your attitude towards the church? Were you negative, or just sort of thought it?
No,
irrelevant?
never. Always had respect for people that were churchgoers. It's not that I never wanted to go or anything like that. I didn't think that he was listening to me. Like I used to often say little things as I go to sleep at night. It's like I don't want to go just yet, or and I'm slowly getting the fact that he's got a plan for all of us, and going to I could go to North Lakes Church, and just the love that pours out of them, it's just overflowing, and some of the readings they have just hit home, and I'm starting to get the fact,
that this is real.
It is real. It is real,
and
Dooralong is just a practical way of showing how God works.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that other guys have said that's really surprising, that when they went to these churches, the buzz from Dooralong is taking these people, and sometimes people have this idea of addicts, be careful. But they said they were just blown away by the acceptance and the love of the people that were there. That there was no judgment, no guilt. Just love.
Forgiveness is a massive word that I sort of take on board with the salvos and all that sort of thing. It's not that I've done really bad things to people in my life. It's the bad things that I've done to myself. And just the way they forgive. It's that happened behind you. They're trying to build you up to be a better person for the things that you're gonna receive in the future. And like I said, God's got a plan for everyone, and. It's not that I know what mine is just yet, but You know, like I wouldn't mind even if it comes down to it, I'll be a support worker for newcomers later on. You know, when I've done the program, you know, like be someone that they can turn back to and then say, look, mate, I never believed or anything like that, but now I do. You know, like.
So do you think perhaps that even though you weren't aware of God working in your life, that he was there organising things, that conversation, that decision by Salvos to go and speak at that club where your sister works, and then she spoke to somebody there, and then she spoke to you, and the way that all came together like pieces of a jigsaw?
Exactly, yeah. It's like, the game Tetris, all the pieces are falling into place rather than all jumbled up.
Yeah. All done for a purpose.
Exactly. You know, he's got a road paved, and I'm going to drive it pretty well.
Good for you. Talking to Scott, we were talking to Scott about his life at Dooralong, how it's been transformed, how he's really, really enjoying going to church, and he's very open to God working in his life. That must have come as a bit of a surprise to you, Scott.
Yeah, pretty big surprise, actually.
Somebody said 6 months ago you'll be going to church and talking about God.
No, I would never have thought that in a million years. No way. It's just, it's pretty overwhelming, actually.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but in a good way.
No, in an excellent way.
Excellent way, yeah. So you're a painter and decorator by trade. Is that something you may go back to?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Never be out of work.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit of a musician too. Got a mate at Dooralong that we're on a little bit of a talk about might do a bit of travelling with music. Hopefully it picks off. You know, like he's a pretty well known musician. He's done it before. He's done a bit of travelling around Australia, and we get along really well. Like two peas in a pod, being a musician.
Yeah.
And that's been one of my dreams actually, is to follow that. You know, and if that takes off, you know, like that'll be God working there. You know, like getting to Dooralong and meeting him's been a big pat in the back for me to be doing these hard yards. Maybe that's a reward for that.
Yeah.
Meeting Michael.
I suppose it's one of those things where just leave it to God, I guess.
Yeah, just leave it in his hands. You know, like
when we try to run things, that's when it gets messed up. It's best just leaving it to God. He's done pretty well with you over the last 6 months. So
yeah, I was just with this music. If it doesn't go the way we want, you know, like life isn't always roses. You know, I've still always got the painting to fall back on. I love painting. It's pretty rare to find someone say that they love painting, but
you do.
I like the job satisfaction.
Yeah.
Then Dooralong's got me swinging off a brush there pretty often.
I'm sure. Are you on the worship? You should be on the worship team if you've got a musical background.
Yeah. We started the other week. I'd done a night there with Bex. We done pretty good actually. You know, like I'm not real familiar with an electric drum kit, but I'll give it a go, and we went pretty good. So hopefully in the future we'll get up on stage again.
So you're right. You're at the front of the worship sort of now. Probably 6 months ago, your first chapel night, you were sat on the back row, were you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wondering what you'd let yourself in for.
Yeah, true. And then I got a work award, you know, and that was different. Getting that, you know, just for me painting, and then the week after that, I got an award for community life, and that was another eye opener.
Yeah.
So like I said, I hit the ground running there. I really enjoy it there. So.
And there's a fair way to go yet, as you say. You've only been there July, so it's hard, but you don't want to get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, well, it's just like a sculpture. You got to start somewhere, and it's like I'm just in the mould, you know, stage at the moment, and what Dooralong does with me, I'm going to be proud to see the finished product when I graduate. We
were talking about your sister earlier, who was instrumental in getting you that place at Dooralong. How is she with your progress? What
overwhelmed, yeah.
Pretty overwhelmed?
Pretty proud, yeah. She's pretty proud. Probably, you know, like say 6 months ago, she probably never thought she'd see me like this. You know, like I said, I'm shining. You know, people have got to wear sunglasses to look at me.
Yeah.
It's going to my head, you know. Like I actually enjoy it there, and I didn't think I would, but like I'm getting weekends leave and that stuff now, so I get to go home and see them. I did last week, and with my partner Tina, and you know, like she stuck by me the whole time too. Tina knew that there's something good in me, so
So there are people on the outside, I don't know whether that's the right phrase, but there are people there who love and care for you and will look after you really well when you do leave.
Yep. Well, once I leave Dooralong, hopefully I don't need looking after. I'll be the one doing all that. But leading up to that, my sister and my mum and my partner were just instrumental in just keeping me on my feet and alive, mainly.
Sounds of your life, it has been transformed. I can see why the 12th of July is a really important date for you.
Yeah, it will be in the future, we won't be raising a glass of beer, will we? We'll be having a cup of coffee at a nice coffee shop or something.
Oh, nice cup of coffee. Yeah. You can get addicted to caffeine, but I think that's probably okay.
No.
Doesn't do too much harm.
Nah, nothing wrong with a cup of tea then, I suppose.
Hey, I keep hearing wonderful things about baristas coming to Dooralong. What's going on with the coffee scene at Dooralong?
Oh, they've just started a course there a couple of weeks ago, and I did put my name down, but there was only room enough for 8. I think it's Kev doing it. He's got a couple of the boys down because they've got a really nice cafe there.
Yeah.
And
they've got machinery and all the rest of it.
Got a really nice coffee machine there, and just to break the ice with the boys a little bit, we had a couple of meetings down there, like your group meetings in the mornings, and we go down there and just got them working their paces with the coffee machine, and hats off to the boys. They're doing a really, really good job, and they're going to do that this afternoon at between 4 and 5:30 or something. They're going to be making cuppas for all of Dooralong.
And hey, look, it's great, and also look, if you're a trained barista and got your whatever qualifications you need, it's another sort of string to your bow, isn't it, for when you do?
Well, it's sort of with coffee shops these days.
They're all over
every second shop. So the boys probably, and ladies, I should say, pretty much guaranteed a job if they look hard enough on the outside, and that's another thing the Salvos are doing for a lot of the people in there, TAFE courses and training to be baristas and stuff. That's unreal. I think they should give me an apprentice painter.
Painter and barista.
See, my sister, she's pretty high in the RSL at Port Macquarie, the Panthers, and she makes a mean cup of coffee. So.
You'll be able to rival her. Get yourself signed up. Next time we come to Dooralong, I'm expecting Scott to prepare a perfect flat white for me.
No worries,
Okay, Scott, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for being so positive and for being so open to all the great work.
Thanks for the invite, actually.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. Our listeners love hearing these stories. You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Dooralong stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 Rema.cc.